private, political, family, or club meetings, and so on, of not more than 50 to 100 participants. We introduce to you Adamimogo Event Hall. Yes! Right at Oladoyin Palace, Adamimogo 107.7 FM's compound, Ido-Ekiti. Ample parking space, good security, clean environment. You also have the opportunity to book for a media publicity of your event on our fast-growing social media platforms. All these for a talking. Simply visit us at Oladoyin Palace, Ido-Ekiti, or call the following numbers for more inquiries: 0803 526 5812 or 0916 340 0878 or 0806 511 4430. You can also call 0806 380 8891. Adamimogo Event Hall. We are waiting for your patronage.
Top stories, real voices
have arrived in Lagos, according to authorities in Nigeria.
Tune in to Adamimogo 107.7 FM for a fresh perspective on news. Adamimogo 107.7 FM, the voice of the light.
Dailydose on Adamimogo 107.7 FM. Ido-Ekiti is what you are listening to at this time, where we're bringing you stories making rounds in the national dailies. And before we embarked on that break, we took the headlines and we're taking the details now. And I start from the Punch newspaper, where this says 70,000 naira minimum wage, state salaries rise by 90% to 3.8 trillion naira. Now the details are saying that the amount budgeted for personal cost, including salaries and allowances of state civil servants, has increased from 2.036 trillion naira spent in 2024 to 3.87 trillion naira in the approved budget 2025. Although the 36 subnational allocated a sum of 2.8 trillion naira salaries cost, it's only paid out of a total of 2.036 trillion naira within the 12th month of 2024, a reduction of 764 billion naira, according to its budget implementation report. According to data obtained from the 2025 approved budget of the 36 state government, the increase occasioned by the implementation of a new minimum wage, 70,000 naira, and spiraling political appointment reflect an increase of nearly 90.23%. The approved budget are also contained in Open State, a budget-backed website that serves as a repository of government budget data. The budget report also indicated that at least 27 states of the Federation would not be able to pay workers' salary this year without having to wait for federal allocations from the central government. It's quite a long read and it's a long development as well. So see Punch newspaper for details. 70,000 naira minimum wage, state salaries rise by 90% to 3.8 trillion naira. Still in the Punch newspaper and still talking issues related to workers. Civil servants get February 17 deadline for verification. It's saying that federal civil servants have been given a February 17, 2025 deadline for identity verification as the government moves to weed out ghost workers. This was contained in a memo by the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation and cited by newsmen on Saturday. Civil servants are expected to verify their identity on the portal of the Integrated Payroll and Personal Information System amid the planned stoppage of salaries and other sanctions for ghost workers. It was gathered that civil servants had been in haste to generate their taxpayer identification number to meet the deadline. Part of the requirement for verification is the TIN alongside the IPPIS number and salary account number. The memo reads that following the Treasury circular with some ref number dated 27th June 2024 on the above subject matter and subsequent extension dated 16 August 2024, I am directed to inform you that the AGF has approved the extension of the OAF IPPIS payroll verification portal for an additional 1 week. That's the 10th, which is today, to 17th February 2025. See details From the Punch newspaper, this message is for federal civil servants. See details in the Punch newspaper again. Civil servants get February 17th deadline for verification. Still in the Punch newspaper this morning, 12-year basic education. Federal government meets NUT principals Wednesday. It says the federal government is set to meet the Nigerian Union of Teachers and the All Nigerian Confederation of Principals of Secondary Schools on Wednesday to discuss the proposal by the Minister of Education, Mr. Tunji Alausa, to extend basic education to 12 years. The proposal, which aims to integrate junior and senior secondary education into a single continuous program, has sparked mixed reactions among education stakeholders, with calls for careful deliberation before any decision is made. In an exclusive interview, the national president of AMCOPS, that's the Association of Secondary School Principals, Mr. Musa Ibrahim, clarified that while the minister had put forward the idea, it had not yet been enacted into law. Well, it's also detailed in the Punch newspaper this morning. You might want to grab a couple of that to see details. 12-year basic education. Federal government meets NUT principals Wednesday. Newspaper this morning. Jackpot on the funding inefficiency undermining address public hospitals. It comes with a lot of riders. It says as doctors to patient ratio declined to 2,000 rather against WHO's 1,600. Jackpot reduced health professionals from 300,000 in 2017 to 90,000 in 2024. Privatees specialist hospitals for greater efficiency that, according to an expert, says if emergency care undermined canvass more government intervention. Those are the riders. Now let's see the details. They say Nigeria is facing a critical shortage of skilled health professionals. Public hospitals are grappling with significant challenges that affect their ability to deliver quality health care. The strain is evident across the country, from insufficient bed spaces to outdated equipment and inadequate staffing. It says that the depletion of the workforce is a direct consequence of the mass exodus of doctors, nurses, pharmacists, midwives, lab scientists, and other cadre of healthcare workers for greener pastures, aka Jackpot phenomenon. It has created significant gaps in the already fragile system. Jackpot takes a hold, workforce challenge, patient testimonials, investigations, bad bed space challenge persist, overcrowding versus understaffing, budgetary allocation deficit, federal government addressing health sector problems. Then, expect federal government should privatize specialist hospitals for greater efficiency. That, according to an expert, hospitals should operate as a business. Healthcare must be universally available. More center of excellence established. That, according to another expert, emergency care is undermined. That's coming from a consultant. More government investment needed. That's coming from another consultant. You see, all of the solutions and suggestions were recommended or were put together and reported by the Vanguard newspaper this morning. You might want to grab a couple of that paper to see details of the development. It says again, the headline, Jackpot on the funding inefficiency undermining Nigeria's public. And I move to the Nation newspaper this morning. Federal government targets capital markets to fund infrastructure. Now it's saying that it has some riders. It says road, rail, education, health, IT sector to benefit. IFC team, ICRC to work out modalities. Now it's saying that alternative funding for infrastructure through public-private partnership PPP using the capital market is under consideration by the federal government. The government is making the arrangement in collaboration with the International Finance Corporation, IFC, a subsidiary of the World Bank. Projects being targeted are roads, rail, port, and information technology, that's IT. Others are in the health, education, transport, and agriculture sector. Because of the huge amount of money required to bridge the infrastructure deficit, the government goes outside the budgetary revenue to fund this project. See details in the Nation newspaper this morning. Federal government targets capital markets to fund infrastructure. It is reported in the Nation newspaper this morning that according to Acting Head of Media and Publicity ICRC, Ifeanyi Nwoko, who confirmed the development. Position now. The Nation newspaper is reporting this morning says constructive opposition better than confrontation, says Senate Minority Leader Moro. Now it says that Senate Minority Leader Abba Moro, PDP Benue South, has defended a style of opposition in the 10th Assembly or in the 10th Senate. He said the style of constructive opposition is better than confrontation with those in position of authority. Moro said this while addressing reporters in his office at the weekend in Abuja. The Senate Minority Leader noted that collaborative leadership for good governance, award bestowed on him by the Senate's press corps, was apt and a justification for a style of leadership as main opposition leader. Minority leadership to me is not for confrontation but constructive collaboration with those in the ruling party for good governance for Nigeria. I want to sincerely say that you have made some proper observations in the course of a time because I believe in collaboration. I believe that compromise is a very veritable instrument in leadership and in leadership advancement. I believe that what we call opposition is ordinarily intended to persuade people to act in a manner that otherwise may not necessarily act. Then, yes, I was elected as a Senate on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, but as a Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I need to work with other Nigerians to advance the cause of Nigeria. Those were the words of Moro there. He further said a lot of things, but it is detailed in the Nation newspaper this morning. You might want to grab a copy to see details again. Constructive opposition better than confrontation, says Senate's Minority Leader. And still staying with opposition, in the Punch newspaper, snake, monkey mustn't swallow $1.0 billion health fund. Article 1's federal government. It's saying that the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has warned the federal government that claims of animals such as snakes, termites, gorillas, monkeys swallowing public funds must never be the fate of the funds budgeted for the critical sector of health in the 2025 budget. In a statement on Sunday, Atiku urged President Bola Tinubu's administration to provide transparency on how the intervention fund would be allocated. The former vice president emphasized the importance of accountability, stressing that every kobo must be properly utilized to strengthen Nigeria's healthcare system. It says, and I quote, "In recent years, there have been bizarre claims of animals being held accountable for missing public funds. Some of these claims were never investigated or published to deter future offenders." Against the backdrop of dwindling resources that has been exacerbated by the withdrawal of support in certain areas of health services, it is important that every kobo budgeted for the health sector has to be maximized, maximally utilized. The former vice president said other things there, but it is detailed in the Punch newspaper this morning. Again, the headline says, snake, monkey mustn't swallow $1.07 billion health fund. Article 1's federal government. All right, we're running out of time. Let's see if we can get one or two reactions. 07047007701 or 07072766278. These are the lines to call this morning. Let's see if we can have one or two calls there. In the Vanguard newspaper this morning, Falana sues Meta seeks $5 million for alleged invasion of privacy. It says human rights activist Mr. Femi Falana has filed a $5 million suit before Lagos State or Lagos High Court against the United States of America-based organization Meta Platform over alleged invasion of his privacy. Falana, through his lawyer Olumide Babalola, accused Meta of publishing motion images and voice captioned Africare Health Center on their website to the effect that he suffered a disease known as prostatitis, which the lawyer claimed constitutes an invasion to his privacy. Hello, good morning.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Morning, sir.
Your name and where you calling us from?
King Kibi from Adamimogo is calling.
Happy New Week. Please go ahead.
Okay. I want to talk on one council lobbying Ayegbusi to win 2007 presidential election. And I'm advising one council to still extend its lobby to Messrs. Payemi in Ekiti State and Osinbajo in Ogun State. These politicians, I just want to advise that they are dead wolves. They are dead wolves. They cannot contribute to his president. They are this in Southwest.
All right.
They are dead politicians.
All right. All right, let's pick other calls. Thank you so much. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, my friend.
Good morning. Your name and where you calling us from?
This is Emmanuel from Kitchen.
All right, go ahead.
According to your report, you said virtually all the state governments will not be able to pay their staff salary.
It is not my report. It is the Punch newspaper's report.
The Punch newspaper report.
Yes.
Okay. Unless they resort to federal
allocation.
But some are saying we should create more states, about 31 or thereabouts. So how would they pay? Some are conversing that by creating more states, we create more job opportunity. But in an advanced world, the issue of employment is being taken for properly by the private sector. Let them create a conducive atmosphere where investors can invest and people can be employed.
All right.
I was hearing some few days ago, Dangote is saying he pay over 2 trillion naira as tax to Nigeria. If we have gotten 10 of Dangote, where will we be now?
All right.
God bless Nigeria.
All right, thank you so much for your call there. Let's see this story from the Nation newspaper. Court case FCC PC's power to telecom regulation agency to protect consumers' interest in new tariff regime. It says that the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission FCCPC has regulatory power over the telecom sector. The court has affirmed the ruling properly situates the role of FCCP's its chief executive officer Tunji Bello said this during the weekend. In the judgment delivered on Friday, Justice F.N. Ogazi reinforced the FCCP's mandate as the primary authority responsible for preventing anti-competitive practices and protecting consumers in Nigeria, in line with Section 17 and 18 of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Act, FCCPC or FCCPA 2018. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Your name and where you calling us from? Please go ahead, sir.
I thank former Vice President Atiku Abubakar for that statement that he made. Our Nigerian government should stop distributing of how can animals be swallowing money and nothing will be done. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you so much for your brief and short contribution there. 10 Delta PDP lawmakers set to join APC. Omagege, that's the former Deputy Senate President, Ovie Omagege, says 10 lawmakers from the People's Democratic Party in Delta State House of Assembly are set to defect to the All Progressives Congress, signaling a significant power shift in Nigeria or in the state's political landscape. It is detailed in the Punch newspaper this morning. See details from there. How I sacked my daughter over lateness. That's from Obasanjo. It says, former President Olusegun Obasanjo recalled how he sacked his daughter from his farm on account of late coming to work. According to Obasanjo, the action had an indescribable effect on all his employers, saying if Baba could do this to his daughter, who are we? The former president who made this disclosure while playing host to the new chairman board of management of Federal Medical Center Idiaba in Abeokuta, Dr. Dayo Israel, was on a courtesy visit to him at his penthouse residence located in the premises of Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library, Ogun State, Abeokuta, told his visitors to brace up for the challenges ahead and be ready to step on toes if necessary for a successful tenure in office. It's detailed in the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Time is really not on our side anymore. We need to go. And I must say thank you to everyone who has called and everyone who has been part of the production so far. Till tomorrow with some other colleagues of mine, bringing to you stories reported in the national dailies, the Dailydose. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you all. See you next time. My name is Oladoyin Ayegbusi. Good